Good morning. It's day 19, July the 5th, and welcome back to the Twisting Roads. I'm just going to do one stop today. I was hoping to see the Berlin Zoo, but I decided to basically focus my attention on the Berlin Museum of Technology. It's supposed to be quite fantastic, so that's where we're going to head off to right now. So this section actually covers shipbuilding, from wooden ships with some metal, wood over here, a little bit of metal framing here. Ships in the early 20th century with rivets. And ships with a welded hull. You have a really great cross section of a ship. I don't even know when it was built, but 1850, I guess. Yeah. So 1 to 25 scale. The beam width is 8.8 meters, and the length is 47 meters. This is the Nautical Museum, which covers the history of all the different types of shipbuilding. This one looks like a galleon, perhaps maybe a Viking one. Obviously men rowing this one. Then you've got other ships here from later centuries in 1681. In 1678. Ships of all different sizes. Yeah, this is the beginning of airships over here. Looks like something out of a fairy tale. Floating city. Ooh, of course you had to have a cannon in there too. And look at that. In order to escape there, he had a little smaller version for a lifeboat. Okay, hot air balloons, the basket. First attempts of manned flight. The wings aren't really that well shaped. This one's a little better, got curvature to it. But I don't think he went very far with them. The Zeppelin. There's some structures there inside the Zeppelin. Okay, it's rigidity. This looks like a replica of the Kitty Hawk, a scaled down version. This is one of the planes built in the early 20th century, around 1910. This is the beginning of aerial photography there during World War I. To get some ideas of what sort of battle plans they dropped. The uniform of a World War I Luftwaffe pilot. An interesting story about Manfred von Richthofen. Apparently it says here, he is particularly remembered as Knight of the Sky. However, evidence has since come to light showing that he deliberately sought out weaker opponents for his air battles. So much for chivalry. So this is a Rolls-Royce engine. Must be a Merlin engine from the Spitfire. I think a V12. I think Richard Briand would be drooling over this one. This is an interesting 7-cylinder rotary engine. It's made for this plane by Siemens. This is it's a very crude wind tunnel here. This is the pioneering of jet engines.
Cool, isn't it? Look at the doors.
This is a very early flight simulator. Most of these interpretations actually are written notes in these exhibits are all in German, so it's pretty hard to tell exactly what this simulator was built for. 1929. Okay, so this is a model, or actually a real F-86 Saberjet used by the Americans. It says deployed between 1953 and 1955. This is the front section of a Russian Ilyushin IL-2 that they used in World War II. And I think this is a Stuka bomber. Oh, no, it's Bf-109. It's seen better days. There's another one over there, behind the column. ME-109. This is a fuselage of Junkers Ju-88 3-seater bomber. Had 2 engines. It's a Messerschmitt Bf-110 long distance fighter. Some uniforms from the Luftwaffe, World War II. As I mentioned, this is the C-47 that they used to basically bring in food, coal, medical supplies, anything that the West Berliners needed when the Soviets closed down that corridor between East Germany and West Berlin. So they would be flying these planes in every 2 minutes just to keep up with demand. And we also actually dumped candy as they flew in over the airfields to support the kids. Actually, it was the candy bombers, they were called. And the kids basically just ran out and grabbed all the candy and shared it with them, and they knew then that the Americans weren't going to leave them. From a propaganda point of view, it was just a win for the Americans and the Germans compared to what the Soviets did for the East Berliners. The Junker Ju-52. This was like the equivalent of the C-47, but was used by the Nazis. And 3 engines. I've seen a lot of these in footages of World War II, particularly when Hitler was flying from location to location. So it looks really primitive, you know. I mean, corrugated metal. I know it gives us structural strength and everything, but my God, the fuel efficiency in this thing must have been terrible. It's big. This is one of the famous anti-aircraft guns that were used back in World War II. They called it the 88s. Not only was it used for anti-aircraft, but they used it as an artillery piece too, and ground combat. So you can see here, this is a replica of the early buzz bombs or V-1 rockets. Oh. I guess they were experimenting with jet-propelled fighter planes here. I've never seen this model before, but see a big-ass jet engine here on this plane. I don't think it actually saw service. What you're seeing here is the beginning of a V-2 rocket. The engine and its fuel tank. I believe it ran on alcohol and oxygen. Yeah, this is the remnants of a Stuka dive bomber here. So the core cockpit is missing, so we're looking at the front. This is the underside of a MiG-15. This is really the Soviet answer against the Saberjet. Apparently this was supposed to fly faster and outmaneuver the Saberjet. Well, I just finished the tour. It was actually quite impressive. I couldn't see everything because there was too many different sections of the museum. I just spent most of my time in the nautical and aviation side. But they have things on printing, on chemistry, on road building, transportation. You could probably spend a week there. The aviation side had a lot of exhibits, not as much as the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C., but nevertheless, it was still impressive. But it was a good afternoon, well spent. So I'm just going to head back to the hotel and call it a day. And tomorrow we're off to Dresden for a few days.